Melania Trump has been in the news a lot lately. I was talking about her in the monologue, and she's on the cover of Us Weekly with this cover, my side of the story. All the stars do it. Tim Gunn has done it. If you have his, he'll be out here in a minute, and I did it. It's practically a rite of passage. You have mine, there you go. In Slovenia, I was a catalog model, which is what you call a model you order out of a catalog. I have no first language. I hope I inspire little girls everywhere to marry for money.
Bill Maher didn't just crack jokes. He cracked Trump's ego wide open by uncovering shocking truths about his marriage. Why is Melania's silence being called the biggest Mick drop of all? Oh, and Trump's furious meltdown. That's just the cherry on top. Now, before we move on, I will like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. What if the rules of Melania's marriage were more like a playbook for survival? That's exactly the picture Bill Maher painted during his latest monologue, and let's just say he wasn't holding back. On live TV, he unveiled a satirical set of so-called rules Melania supposedly follows in her marriage to Donald Trump.
Melania Trump has been in the news a lot lately. I was talking about her in the monologue, and she's on the cover of Us Weekly with this cover, my side of the story. He's naming the Kennedy Center after his wife? That's kind of sweet. I wish I knew why I have a recurring dream I'm pinned beneath a giant orange sack of shit.
The audience hanging on every word. The internet exploding with equal parts laughter and secondhand embarrassment. And Trump? Oh, we'll get to his meltdown in a second. But first, let's unravel the bizarre world Maher introduced us to. One of Maher's standout rules was that Melania never asked questions about Barron. That's right, questions about their own son are apparently off limits. The sheer absurdity of this wasn't lost on Maher, who pointed out, with perfect comedic timing, that in the Trump household, even the parenting handbook is probably written in gold leaf, with "Don't bring it up" stamped on every page. He wasn't just going for an easy laugh, though. This rule hit at something deeper, the strange transactional vibes of the Trump family dynamics where public image and control often seem to overshadow, basic human relationships. Another rule that really got people talking was Maher's quip about the bride catalog return policy. That stung, didn't it? In one joke, Maher managed to straddle humor and brutal critique, implying that their relationship is less of a marriage and more of a business deal. It was clever, it was scathing, and it left the audience roaring. But between the laughs, there was this unshakable feeling that Maher had found a thread of truth beneath the surface. The appearance of a cold, calculated partnership. Not exactly your classic love story, is it? Maher, master of cutting through facades, didn't stop there. He painted their relationship as the crown jewel of Trump's obsession with branding. A marriage that's more of a logo than a love affair.
I copied this list from Michelle Obama. Sometimes when I bounce light off my diamond, Donald's hair will chase it like a cat. I wish I knew why I have a recurring dream I'm pinned beneath a giant orange sack of shit. And if I could tell my younger self just one thing, it would be this. If you catch a leprechaun and he gives you one wish, be more specific.
Here's the twist. Maher also suggested Melania's silence, her mysterious aura, might be her greatest strength. Sure, Trump blusters and rants about fake news, but Melania, she lets her quiet, enigmatic expression, a mix of vacancy and faint disapproval, do the heavy lifting. Maher called this her power move, the ultimate mic drop in a marriage that's become a spectacle. Unsurprisingly, Trump wasn't laughing. He stormed onto Truth Social, furiously labeling Maher a befuddled mess. Now, Trump is no stranger to name-calling, but there was something extra fiery about his rage this time. His post reeked of hurt pride, and here's the kicker. The angrier he got, the more Maher's marriage rules seemed to stick. Trump's insults only amplified the narrative that Maher had touched a nerve. Nothing says no cracks here like a public meltdown, right? What Maher accomplished with his jokes wasn't just entertainment, it was an uncomfortably honest look at how power and performance often take center stage in Trump's life. Instead of dismissing Maher as just a comedian, Trump's fiery response did the opposite. It turned Maher's punchlines into talking points. With every outraged post, Trump seemed to be proving Maher's underlying critique. For him, image matters above all. And it's not just his image. Melania's carefully maintained silence plays right into the brand. The irony here, Trump's reaction only lit up Maher's points like a Times Square billboard. By calling Maher befuddled, Trump came off more rattled than poised, a man who couldn't take a joke, because, deep down, the joke might not be so far from reality. And that's where Maher excels, not just poking fun, but exposing the deeper layers of a story. Whether Melania's silence is part of the performance or a quiet rebellion, Maher framed it in a way that forces the audience to ask tough questions about power, love, and control. With that, the ball is rolling towards something bigger, a broader critique of the cultural obsession with branding and appearances. Maher's satirical breakdown of Melania's marriage rules isn't just about them, it's about everyone who buys into the shiny, picture-perfect facade of relationships like theirs. And with Trump's furious meltdown, he's unintentionally giving the satire more teeth. This feud, as trivial as it might seem, is shedding light on truths even the biggest branding machine can't cover up.
You are not to leave your girdle on the bathroom floor. You are not to ask for hand. You are not to ever again mention the bride catalog's return policy. You are not allowed to eat Wendy's in bed. Tell Wendy I can hear her.
According to Maher, Melania's silence speaks volumes in a relationship that seems more like a branding contract than a classic love story. While Trump is all about noise, whether it's yelling fake news or spamming Truth Social, Melania keeps the volume at 0. Maher joked that her non-speaking role might be straight out of a survival playbook, a way to navigate the gaudy world of Trump Tower without getting lost in its marble floors. Whether Melania's quietness is a calculated defense mechanism or something more defiant, Maher made it clear it's not accidental. He framed it as her ultimate mic drop, an act as loud as any of Trump's rants. Maher's humor didn't stop there. He shredded the cultural obsession with women who look expensive, that even if they feel empty inside. That's Melania, he jabbed, pointing out how society worships the surface while ignoring what's beneath. In a world where appearances seem to matter more than substance, Melania remains an enigma, perfectly polished, rarely smiling, and never confirming or denying the bizarre circus that surrounds her.
He's naming the Kennedy Center after his wife? That's kind of sweet. He's naming the Kennedy Center after... Wait, what? Wasn't it a law that he had to sell TikTok?
Maher's critique wasn't just about Melania, it was about the expectations placed on women in high-profile marriages, especially those with cameras constantly in their faces. The message? Silence can be survival, even when the price of the silence feels soul-crushing. This idea of Melania's silence being her weapon of choice hit Trump where it hurts most. Maher suggested that to Donald, Melania's refusal to play her scripted role might sting as much as any insult from the press. Trump thrives on praise, attention, and validation, yet his own wife seems unwilling to boost his ego publicly. That's power, according to Maher, the kind of silence that leaves people filling in the gaps, wondering what Melania really thinks every time Trump goes on one of his tirades. And judging by Trump's furious response online, Maher hit a very raw nerve. The whole dynamic reveals something deeper. If Trump represents unfiltered thoughts and endless self-promotion, then Melania is the antithesis of that. A quiet presence who maintains her mystery no matter how loud the environment around her gets. Maher's analysis challenges not just the public image of the Trump marriage, but also the cultural norm that equates silence with submission. By placing the spotlight on Melania, he reframed her quietness as something strategic, even powerful, while also underscoring the strangeness of their partnership.
When I say I love you, do not reply with "you're welcome." If I say jump, you, I'd like to see that. Apparently this is catching on, and a lot of women are doing this now. We got a hold of Melania's list. I don't know if you'd like to, but these are her rules. Valentine's Day was yesterday. Did you have a good time? We thought we would save this for Valentine's Day. It's been floating around the internet for a couple of months. In Slovenia, I was a catalog model, which is what you call a model you order out of a catalog.
And And yet, for all her silence, Melania undeniably amplifies Trump's sensitivity. If her quiet refusal to shield him from ridicule is intentional, it might just be the ultimate commentary on a partnership where appearances matter more than affection. Maher captured this cold dynamic perfectly, providing a biting satirical lens on a relationship people just can't stop talking about. With Trump's over-the-top reaction, it's undeniable. Her silence says more than words ever could. When the joke becomes the truth, it's no longer funny, especially for Trump. The moment Bill Maher's satirical takedown of Trump's marriage hit the airwaves, Trump did what Trump does best: rage post on Truth Social. It didn't take long for him to fire off a string of insults aimed at Maher, calling him a befuddled mess and trashing his comedy as irrelevant. But his anger didn't stop there. One post became several, spiraling into a multi-target rant that dragged in some unexpected names, like columnist Bret Stephens and the ever-controversial Laura Loomer. If this sounds like classic Trump, that's because it absolutely is. First, let's talk about the befuddled mess comment, which, coming from Trump, felt more like projection than insult. Here's the irony. While Maher's criticism was sharp and calculated, Trump's reaction came off as rambling and unhinged, filled with the usual theatrics. His aggressive tone seemed less like a deliberate clapback and more like a knee-jerk tantrum, and in doing so, Trump unknowingly proved Maher's point about his thin skin. After all, if your marriage is rock solid and your ego is untouched, why expend so much energy on a comedian's jokes? But of course, this isn't Trump's first time losing it over satire. In fact, his pattern of reacting aggressively to personal critiques is almost predictable at this point.
His name is Barron, and he's our son. Stop asking who's the kid. When I say I love you, do not reply with "you're welcome." If I say jump, I'd like to see that. You must at least consider drinking or whatever else will put you to sleep.
Remember when he wanted to sue Bill Maher a few years back? Yep, over a joke. Maher had compared Trump to an orangutan, and Trump responded the only way he knows how, by filing a lawsuit. Maher, according to sources, had to spend significant money to fight the suit. That's the thing with Trump. He doesn't just take satire as a joke, he sees it as an attack. And when attacked, he goes into full counterpunch mode, throwing insults, threats, or lawsuits in every direction. This time, Trump's fury wasn't contained to Maher. Somehow, Bret Stephens and Laura Loomer became collateral damage in his meltdown. Trump accused Stephens of writing negative stories about him, because that's totally unheard of, and then brought up Maher's quip about an alleged affair with Loomer to distract from the main topic. It's classic Trump deflection. When in trouble, throw everyone else under the bus to keep the spotlight off your own weak points. But instead of shifting the narrative, his extended rant turned into a messy sideshow that only amplified the original criticism. What makes this whole situation even funnier, or sadder, depending on your perspective, is the glaring contradiction in Trump's behavior. Here's a guy who prides himself on being tough and unfazed, yet Maher's jokes about Melania's silence triggered a full-blown meltdown. By calling Maher a befuddled mess, Trump hoped to turn the tables, but instead he came across as the one spiraling. It's almost as if the more defensive Trump gets, the easier it is to believe Maher's observations about his obsession with image. And judging by the volume of his Truth Social posts, his ego is as fragile as ever. This isn't an isolated case either. Trump's history proves that he's allergic to satire. From attacking Alec Baldwin's impersonation of him on SNL to insulting comedians like Rosie O'Donnell, Trump has a long record of letting jokes derail his attention. His over-the-top reactions suggest he takes satire more seriously than most people take actual news. It's like holding up a cartoon mirror to him is the quickest way to get under his skin, and Maher knows this better than most.
For not to look at a single girl, I am allowed to do a phone check whenever I please. You are not to get mad at me about a single thing I ever do. Apparently this is catching on, and a lot of women are doing this now. We got a hold of Melania's list. I don't know if you'd like to, but these are her rules. You are never to take longer than 10 minutes to text me back. You are not to ask for head, and No, this is real. So
In a way, Trump's reaction gave Maher's critique more power than it ever could have had on its own. Instead of shrugging it off or ignoring it entirely, Trump's rant added fuel to the fire, effectively confirming that Maher's take on him as overly sensitive and image-obsessed was spot on. Every insult Trump hurled at Maher only invited more attention to the original commentary about Melania and the hollow branding of their relationship. So what does all this tell us about Trump? For someone who claims to be a master of the media, his inability to laugh off criticism is a glaring weakness. With every public meltdown, he proves he's not just a punchline, he's the joke. As Maher's satire hit uncomfortably close to home, Trump's outsized reaction did something no comedian ever could. It blurred the line between the joke and the truth, making his public persona look even thinner than his skin.
But it was an amazing story. A man bought a used car and he found something that somebody left in the car, which was a list of 22 relationship rules. Valentine's Day was yesterday. Did you have a good time? We thought we would and save this for Valentine's Day. It's been floating around the internet for a couple of months that the previous car owner's girlfriend had laid out for this guy. And the guy posted it on the internet. This is real, and it became viral. Things like, you are not to have a single girl's phone number.
Bill Maher didn't just expose the cracks in the Trump marriage, he exposed the cracks in Trump himself. By breaking down the rules of Melania's silence, Maher dismantled the glossy image of a loving partnership and replaced it with something far colder and more transactional. Trump's meltdown only added fuel, making it clear Maher had landed a direct hit. So, is Melania's silence really golden, or is it the most withering critique of all? Let us know what you think in the comments. One thing's for sure, when satire hits this hard, the truth always seems to linger just below the surface.